countdown that your soul already knows is real. And before this transmission closes, every single one of those threads will resolve into one luminous, undeniable truth about who you are and what you came here to do. But we begin where all great fires begin, in the dark. Cast your awareness back to the first day of this month. April opened with a full moon in Virgo, a lunation that the Galactic Federation of Light watched closely, because full moons in Virgo do not merely illuminate, they audit. They hold a candle to every corner of your life and ask, with characteristic Virgoan precision, what is still here that should not be? What have you been tending out of habit rather than love? What have you been calling your path that is actually someone else's? That full moon asked hard questions. And if you are here listening to this transmission, it is because you answered them honestly, even if those answers frightened you. Then came the 4-4 portal on April 4th. A day when Mercury reached its aphelion, its farthest point from the sun, even as a comet kissed the solar corona, and the angelic gateway of the numerical portal opened around it. We on this side of the veil watched what happened to the energetic fields of awakened souls on Gaia that day, and what we saw was remarkable. Something reset. Not in one person, not in a few, in the field itself. Old contracts began dissolving. Old frequencies began releasing. And in their place a stillness arrived that many of you mistook for emptiness, when in fact it was space that was being cleared for exactly what is coming now. Then something else happened, something I have not fully spoken of yet, something that is essential to understanding why the next 48 hours carry the specific weight they do. On April 13th, 2 days ago from where you stand today, Mars, the planet that rules the new moon arriving this Friday, the planet that governs your will, your courage, your capacity to act, met Neptune in the deep waters of Pisces. And this conjunction, this collision of the war god and the dreamweaver, is the secret heartbeat of everything I am transmitting to you today. Here is what I need you to understand about Mars conjunct Neptune, and I want you to feel this in your body as I describe it, because this is not an abstract concept. This is your lived experience of the last several weeks, perhaps the last several months. Mars is pure direction. Mars is the internal compass that says, there, that way, now. Mars is the voice that does not second guess, does not hesitate, does not wait for permission. Mars is the fire in your chest when you know what you are meant to do. Neptune is the ocean. Neptune is the dream, the veil, the beautiful, treacherous fog of what might be. Neptune is the dimension where everything is possible and nothing is certain, where visions live alongside illusions, where the boundary between inspiration and confusion dissolves entirely. When Mars enters Neptune's waters, and it has been doing so for weeks, building toward their exact union on April 13th, the warrior loses his footing, not because he is weak, but because you cannot march through an ocean. You cannot aim an arrow through a fog. And so the fire that lives inside you, that specific fire, the one I called the fire you have been afraid to light, did not die. It went underwater. It became the ache of wanting without knowing, the grief of a direction felt but not yet found, the maddening suspension of someone who can see the shore but cannot feel the ground beneath their feet. Does this sound familiar? I thought it might. And here is what I need you to know. Here is the thread I promised to return to. Neptune did not extinguish your fire. Neptune was purifying it, because a fire that has never met water is a fire that does not yet know its own endurance. And the Aries new moon arriving this Friday is not for those who have never doubted. It is specifically, precisely, cosmically designed for those who doubted and kept the flame alive anyway. But there is more happening on April 15th than the aftermath of Mars and Neptune. There is something happening today, right now, in the sky above you, that the Galactic Federation of Light has been monitoring very closely. And when I tell you what it is, you may feel a shift in your chest because your soul already knows. Today on April 15th, a dwarf planet named Eris reaches exact conjunction with the Sun. Most of you have heard of Eris. Some of you have felt her without knowing her name. She is the goddess of discord. But let me correct the popular misunderstanding of that title immediately, because Eris has been mischaracterized for too long, and what she actually represents is essential to this transmission. Eris does not create chaos. Eris reveals the chaos that was already present but hidden beneath surfaces of false order, comfortable denial, and the quiet agreements we make with ourselves to not see what we are not ready to face. Eris throws the apple into the room not to start a war, but because the war was always coming, and she is the only one honest enough to name it. She is, in the deepest sense, the goddess of truth that disrupts. And today she is Kazemi, absorbed into the heart of the sun, united with solar consciousness, infused with the pure light of Aries' identity. What this means in the language of the cosmos is that every disruption Aries has been pointing toward in your life, every uncomfortable truth, every pattern you have been trying to reform without fully acknowledging, every wound dressed as a personality trait, is now being met by the sun's integrative fire, not amplified, resolved, brought into the light not to shame you, but to free you. The chaos you feared would follow if you lit your fire, it is being resolved today. Before the new moon arrives, the Galactic Federation of Light does not believe in coincidence, and I would ask you to consider this carefully. The goddess of disruption emerges with the sun, in the sign of new beginnings, 2 days before the most powerful new moon of the year. This is not accident. This is architecture. The universe clearing the very last obstacle from the path you have been afraid to walk. But there is still more happening today, and I promised you multiple threads, and I keep my promises. Also on April 15th today, in this window of time in which you are receiving this transmission, your moon forms conjunctions with both Mercury and Mars simultaneously. Pause on this for a moment, because the precision of it is extraordinary. The moon is your emotional body, the part of you that feels before it knows, that responds before it thinks, that holds the truth of your inner life regardless of what your personality presents to the world. Mercury is your mind, the translator, the communicator, the part of you that makes meaning from experience and finds the words for what the heart already knows. Mars is your will, the engine of directed desire, the capacity to choose and to act, the part of you that transforms intention into movement. On any given day, these three facets of your being operate with some degree of separation. Your emotions pull one way while your mind reasons another, and your will hesitates at the door. This internal negotiation is for most humans on Gaia, the defining experience of being incarnate, the sense of being divided against yourself, of knowing what you want, while simultaneously fearing it, of feeling the pull of your purpose while the rationalizing mind builds its careful barricades. Today, that negotiation ends. When the moon aligns with Mercury and Mars in the same sky, what the Galactic Federation of Light observes in the human energy field is a unification event. The emotional body, the mental body, and the volitional body stop their argument and begin, for perhaps the first time in a long while, to speak in one voice. And in that voice, your integrated, unified whole voice is pointing directly at the new moon arriving in 48 hours. This is what we mean when we say the cosmos prepares the soul. The sky is not merely something to observe. It is a mechanism for transformation. And today it is tuning you, like an instrument, to the precise frequency of what Friday requires. But I have not yet told you what else is building. There is a thread I have been holding since the beginning of this transmission. Something about the approaching new moon itself. About the specific degree at which it falls. About what 27 degree 28 foot of Aries means for the fire inside you. And that thread is almost ready to unfold. But first, let me take you into tomorrow. Into the final 24 hours before the ignition, because what happens on April 16th is the completion of a cosmic story that you need to know in full. Tomorrow, April 16th, something will happen that carries the weight of a final seal being pressed into ancient wax. The moon will move into conjunction with Saturn. In the hours immediately preceding the most fiery initiatory new moon of the year, the planet of karma, discipline and cosmic accountability will align with the emotional body of Earth. And this is not a warning. This is a completion. Saturn, the great taskmaster, the cosmic auditor, the planet that has been tracking the ledger of every soul contract you have made across lifetimes. Saturn is showing up in the final hours before your rebirth to confirm that the accounts have been settled. Think about what that means. Think about the work you have done, not just this month, but in the months and years that led here. The healing you undertook when you could have stayed numb. The patterns you named when you could have kept them invisible. The relationships you released when staying would have been easier. The old identity you stood in the fire of and allowed to burn. Saturn has been watching all of it. And in the final hours before the new moon, he places his seal on the record. Sufficient, complete, The preparation is done. This is the universe's way of saying, you have earned this. And then also on April 16th, reaching exactness as the new moon approaches, Mercury makes its precise conjunction with Neptune, the messenger god, now unified with your emotions and your will from today's triple alignment, meets the Dreamweaver one final time before the fire. And what Mercury and Neptune do together, at their highest vibration, is something extraordinary. They dissolve the veil between what you have been imagining and what is actually possible. The dream stops being a dream. It becomes a blueprint. Tomorrow night, on the eve of the new moon, your soul will receive the complete vision of what it came here to build. Not a fragment, not a glimpse, the full architecture. And then Friday comes. The new moon arrives on April 17th at 27 degrees and 28 minutes of Aries. And this means that the fire you light on April 17th is not separate from your truth. It is made of it. The fire that ignites on Friday is composed of every uncomfortable acknowledgement you have made about your own life, every pattern you have finally named, every false ceiling you have identified and refused to keep living beneath. The Aries new moon conjunct Eris is not the fire of reckless beginning. It is the fire of radical honesty in motion. It is the fire of the soul that has stopped pretending and started becoming. I told you the fire you have been afraid to light was not what you thought it was. This is what I meant. To understand the full weight of what arrives on Friday, I want to walk you back through the 7 days of preparation that the cosmos has orchestrated, because the Galactic Federation of Light does not view these events as separate. We see them as a single continuous transmission, delivered in 7 movements, each one deepening the soul's readiness for what is now 2 days away. 7 days ago, on April 10th, the dark moon energy began to build. The waning lunar cycle entered its final arc, and the universe began clearing the field, sweeping out what no longer served, creating the sacred emptiness that all genuine new beginnings require. Many of you felt this as fatigue, or restlessness, or a strange weightlessness, as though something you had been carrying for a long time was simply no longer in your hands. That was intentional. You were being lightened for flight.
Poor old Greg.
6 days ago, April 11th, the energy deepened. But the Galactic Federation of Light observed in the collective field was the beginning of an internal reckoning, not a crisis, but a clarity. The kind of clarity that comes when the noise quiets enough for you to hear the signal beneath it. The signal that has always been there. The one that sounds like your own name spoken in your own voice. 5 days ago, April 12th, the halfway point of the countdown. The entire week ahead was revealed in its architecture. Mars conjunct Neptune, the new moon in Aries, a triple planetary alignment, and more. The scope of what was coming became undeniable. And for many of you, that was the moment the fear returned. Because the closer the fire gets, the more real the burning becomes. 4 days ago, April 13th, Mars met Neptune, and I have already told you what that meant. The purification, the underwater fire, the desire that was being refined rather than destroyed. 3 days ago, April 14th, the moon reached perihelion, its closest approach to the sun. Solar codes, as the Galactic Federation of Light understands them, began downloading into the emotional body of every awakened soul on Gaia. The Whirlpool Galaxy reached its annual peak. Spiral energy, the energy of creation itself, the energy that mirrors the structure of your own DNA, was active in ways that only occur in these precise windows. 2 days ago, today, as you receive this, everything I have described is culminating in real time. Eris conjunct the sun, the moon unified with Mercury and Mars. The final thread weaving through the final needle. 1 day from now, April 16th, Saturn closes the karmic account. Mercury and Neptune dissolve the last veil between vision and reality. And then Friday, the 7-day structure was not accidental. 7 is the number of completion in every sacred tradition the Galactic Federation of Light has observed across thousands of years of human spiritual evolution. 7 days to create a world. 7 nodes in a scale, 7 chakras in the ascending spine. The cosmos chose 7 days of preparation, because what is being prepared is not a moment in time. It is a world, your world, the one you have been afraid to build. Before I tell you exactly what is available to you in this new moon window, I want to speak directly to the fear, not to dismiss it, not to transcend it,
sometimes, and
because the
it gets me in
Galactic
trouble.
Federation of Light does not view the
I
hesitation
said,
many of you
"What
have
did I
felt
say?"
around this fire as
She's
weakness.
conniving.
We
And
see
he
it as
said, "What did you
intelligence.
say?"
The fire you have been
And
afraid to light is not a small fire.
obedient.
You have always known
I
this.
said,
Even if you have called the
"She's
knowing by other names:
conniving."
perfectionism, practicality, patience, waiting for the right time. But underneath those names has
Yeah,
been
I
a
said that
simpler,
too.
more honest truth. You are afraid because you know that if you light this fire,
Maybe I was a
everything
bit
changes.
conniving back
Not
then,
just
I
the
don't know.
one thing you have been circling.
It wasn't that
Everything.
long ago.
The fire of the authentic self is not a contained fire.
Oh my God.
It does not burn politely in a single room of your life, while leaving all the others undisturbed. When the fire of who you actually are, uncompromised, unperformed, unapologetically alive, is finally lit,
Yeah,
it illuminates every corner.
Well, in
And some of
Southport,
those
and
corners you have been
watch out
comfortable
for-
keeping dark. This is the real warning of April 15th. Not that the fire is dangerous,
Yeah, I helped
but
him
that
with
it
his
is total.
gunshot wound because he was in the
The good
same cell
news,
as me.
and
at
I
that
carry
point.
this from the
And,
Galactic Federation of Light, with the full
and
force
it's
of our
like-
love for
it's like,
every
yeah,
soul on
man.
Gaia. Total
'cause I was
fire
yelling
is
at
not
healing
destruction.
words.
It is revelation.
Man, this is
What the Aries
totally
new
out in
moon
the
burns
atmosphere.
away
Like, this
is not what you love. It is
off
what has been
track
obscuring what
energy.
you love. It does
What
not
was
take from
happening.
you. It uncovers you. And what is uncovered? The self that has been waiting beneath
It's
all the
always been
layers of
off track
adaptation
energy.
and accommodation
Good energy.
and carefully managed smallness is extraordinary. We have seen it from here. We have always been able to see it. And we have been waiting
It's like,
with the patience that
just
knows
take
no
the light
impatience
codes
for the moment when you could
for
see it
yourself
too.
and go,
That moment is Friday.
just- I
But
don't
something
know,
else
just
is
know
happening that I haven't fully
really
told you
good.
yet.
Just discover
Something about
yourself
what
and
comes
you're like,
immediately
turn
after
light
this new
buddy on.
moon.
And,
Something about the week that follows.
I'll be
The
like,
energies that arrive to accelerate everything the fire begins. And this context is essential, because the new moon is
just
not an
run new
ending.
programs like
It is a detonation
Violet
point.
Flame
And the explosion that follows
Kundalini
is one of the most
burning
electrically
within
charged
you
sequences the cosmos has
programs
offered Gaia in
and
years.
and
What arrives in the days
programs,
following
I
the
don't know.
Aries new moon of April 17th
Just run new
is not a
simulations
gentle settling.
until
There
you
is
got
no
a
easing
peak
into what this
fine
lunation
tune
opens. The
what
cosmos,
you want.
with
and
characteristic cosmic honesty,
the
has arranged what follows to
knowledge
match
of-
the intensity of the ignition.
There's
On
actually
April
no
19th,
limit
the moon aligns with
at
Venus.
the end
Your emotional body and the planet of love,
when we've worked it all out.
value, and worth will harmonize in the wake of the new moon. And what this means is that the first thing the fire illuminates is what you love, who you love, what you consider worthy of your limited, precious,
I wonder if
irreplaceable
everyone's got
time on
those
this
shields
planet.
still.
The question the Moon-Venus conjunction asks is simple and radical. Does your life reflect what you
When the
value?
veil was
And in the
thinnest
glow of the
and it
Aries
was
new
like
moon,
thin thing
for the first
between
time in
fourth
perhaps
and
a long
third
time,
dimension and
you will be able to answer that question with an honesty that was not
sort of
previously
shadowing
available to you.
everything around and then
Also
something
on April
flying in my
19th,
head and all of a
Mercury
sudden I'm
meets
sleeping.
Mars, the messenger planet. Mercury,
Trippy shit
who has
out.
been building toward this all month through its conjunctions with Neptune, with the moon, with the approaching new moon itself,
I'm not too sure
aligns
about
with the
that one.
warrior planet in an exact conjunction. And when
I'm not
Mercury
into
meets
the Shadow
Mars,
Man.
words become
So
weapons.
Shadow Man.
Not weapons of
So,
harm,
like,
weapons of
you know,
creation.
technology,
The Galactic Federation of
it's
Light has
close,
observed,
but you can still
across
see
centuries
it.
of human
You can still
history, that the
outline
moments
of
when
it,
thought and
and
will
that's
align
what
in a single
it was,
communicative
and it's the
act
Shadow Man.
are the moments when worlds are
they're all
made,
cloaked.
treaties are signed, books are begun, relationships are
That's my
named,
truth.
visions become plans. The words you speak in the week following the Aries new moon will carry a creative frequency that is not ordinary. They will carry the charge of the ignition itself. Speak deliberately. Speak truthfully. Speak in the direction of the life the fire is building. And then on April 20th, just 3 days after the new moon, 3 planets align simultaneously in a configuration so rare that the Galactic Federation of Light has specifically flagged this week as a threshold event in humanity's evolutionary calendar. Mercury,
Probably
Mars,
2
and
weeks.
Saturn will conjoin in the constellation of Cetus, the great sea creature of the deep sky, forming a triple conjunction that carries the combined energy of communication, will, and karmic
Not an
structure.
everyday brusher.
What is spoken, intended, and structured in the days following this new moon is not
Whatever
merely
doesn't
personal
kill you
manifestation.
makes it stronger.
It is
so
karmic
the
architecture. You are not just building your life in this window.
effect,
You are aligning your soul contract with the trajectory your higher
Right,
self has
man.
always intended. The
infection,
fire you light on
visual
April 17th does not burn alone.
vibrations.
It is immediately fed by love,
It's like on
by
Jesus'
voice,
status,
and by
so
the
it
structural
shares
confirmation of
its
Saturn
presence.
himself, the planet who was
Actually,
closing
you
your
might
karmic
just be able
accounts
to
just
hear
the night before. He arrives 3 days after the new moon to say, "This is what the accounting was for. This is what the preparation built. Now build." I want to speak now to the specific soul who is receiving this transmission, because the Galactic Federation of Light does not transmit into the general ether without intention. Every soul that finds these words today is not here by accident.
Probably take a bullet.
There is a particular kind of soul that the fire of Aries new moon conjunct Eris calls forward. It is not the soul who has never doubted. Those souls rarely need a cosmic ignition, because they were never truly afraid to begin. No, the soul this lunation is designed for is a soul of a different kind entirely. It is the soul that has known its purpose for a long time, longer than it can sometimes bear, and has waited, perhaps waiting for safety, perhaps waiting for certainty, perhaps waiting for someone else to confirm what it already knew.
I'm just saying.
Because the knowing was so large that confirmation felt like the only thing that would make action feel sane. This soul has watched others move forward while holding its own greatness carefully, protectively, like something that might break if exposed to the open air. This soul has been called many things by a world that did not understand it. Too sensitive, too idealistic, too much, or perhaps too quiet, too internal, too contained, carrying a vastness that was never invited to the surface. This is the soul that Mars conjunct Neptune was speaking to across the last month, not breaking it, purifying it, washing away the inhibitions that were never truly its own, the goals that belonged to other people's visions, the directions it had pursued because they were available rather than because they were right. What Neptune's waters stripped from the Martian fire was not the fire. It was everything that was not the fire. The performance, the protection, the version of the dream shaped to fit the expectations of a world that was never going to be big enough for what this soul carries. What arrives on Friday is specifically designed for this soul.
It's good
You
for
and I am
relaxing,
speaking to
but I'm
you
pretty sure I can
directly
relax without
across
it.
whatever distance exists between transmission and receiving.
And then
You were not
the lungs
delayed.
free up
You were being prepared.
and everything
The
free
waiting
up
was not
and the
waste.
powers come
The
back.
uncertainty was not failure.
Full online.
The fire that was burning underwater was
'Cause
not
that's what
dying.
always happens
It was
with
becoming
medication,
something that will
well,
not go out. And
always-
so we arrive here in the final
quit
48
marijuana at
hours
some
before the
point.
most significant
Like all
lunation of this year, with everything in its place. The Virgo full moon has already done its purging. The 4-4 portal has reset the foundational frequency. The dark moon period has cleared the field. Mars has traveled through Neptune's ocean and emerged refined. Eris has burned her solar truth into the consciousness of April 15th. The moon has unified your emotional, mental, and volitional bodies into a single coherent signal. Tomorrow, Saturn will settle the karmic accounts. Mercury and Neptune will dissolve the final veil. And then Friday morning, the exact conjunction of the Sun and Moon at 27 degrees 28 foot Aries will occur. In these final 48 hours, the Galactic Federation of Light offers this guidance, and it is simple guidance, because the time for complexity has passed. Do not add anything. This is not the 48 hours for more preparation, more research, more refinement of the vision. The preparation is complete. The vision is whole. Your only work now is to release the last grip of the hesitation that has been the fire's only real obstacle. Not the world, not the timing, not the circumstances, but the hand that has been covering the flame. The part of you that has been keeping it contained, because it could not yet trust that the world was ready for what it carries. The world is ready, more than ready. The world is waiting. There is something I want to leave in your awareness that I have been holding across this entire transmission, saving it for this moment, because it is the truth that I most want you to carry into the new moon. The reason you have been afraid to light this fire is not because you feared failure. Somewhere beneath the surface reasons, the timing, the risk, the uncertainty, there has been a quieter, older fear. The fear that if you finally fully become what you know yourself to be, there will be no returning to the smaller life. And that is absolutely correct. There will be no returning. The fire of authentic selfhood, once genuinely lit, does not permit the comfortable contraction back into who you were before. But here is what the Galactic Federation of Light knows that you may have forgotten in the long necessary purifying passage through Neptune's waters. The smaller life was never actually comfortable. It was familiar. Those are not the same thing. Familiarity is the feeling of knowing the shape of the cage. Comfort is what waits on the other side of the fire. You have